Hey guys, welcome back to the Tech Check for Season 2, Episode 4. Before we begin, here's a word from our sponsor.
Today's sponsor is Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. It has creation tools that allows you to create and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. Anchor also distributes your podcast for you on multiple platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can make money with no minimum listenership, and everything is in one place to create a podcast. Download Anchor on the App Store or Play Store, or you can go to anchor.fm to create your podcast today.
All right, guys, welcome back to Season 2, Episode 4 of the Tech Check. Today, we have a pretty interesting topic. We're going to be talking about quantum computing. Also, a shout out to our guest speaker for today, Arav. Say hi, Arav.
Hey.
So, Arav, tell us a little about quantum computing.
So pretty much quantum computing is our future. It will make everything in our world so advanced, and it is super interesting.
All right, before we delve into, the future in quantum computing and that sort of stuff, we should probably explain what quantum computing is for those who don't know.
Sounds like a good
Essentially,
idea.
what quantum computing is using, quantum physics and phenomena that happen because of those physics in order to complete various computations using a phenomenon like superposition to essentially predict the position of physical states or bits, aka with quantum it's qubits.
Basically, in layman's term, it's a big boy computer.
A big boy computer that uses really, really advanced science stuff.
And it differs from our current computers because instead of using normal bits, which only stay in 1 and 0, these can exist in between 1 and 0.
Yeah, because since it is technically a prediction. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
it's just because, quantum superpositioning. So you
yeah.
don't actually know whether the value is 0 or 1 until you measure the value.
Yeah.
If you want to learn a little bit more about that, so I recommend reading more about Schrodinger's cat experiment, which is a good thought experiment as to really put things into perspective and understand quantum superpositioning a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you'd have to delve into Schrodinger's cat and stuff because the basics only don't cover non-quantum mechanics. So, either way, that's off topic. So that's essentially what quantum computing is. Quantum computing allows for computation to happen at a much, much higher rate than current computing, just because everything can be processed faster because it's being processed essentially earlier because of quantum readings and stuff, and that's gonna essentially, since almost everything runs on a form of computing, once quantum computing becomes essentially normalized, everything is going to be stupid fast when it comes to, at least compared to now.
Deep learning algorithms are really going to take advantage of quantum computing just because of the amount of depth you can put in to quantum computing in terms of deep learning AI.
Oh yeah, definitely. Personally, out of all the fields that'll benefit the most, I think AI and deep learning will benefit the most, just because being able to perform the amount of work that deep learning and AI require at so much higher speed, at much faster speeds that quantum computing, presents, it's definitely going to have a massive impact on, and not only the development of AI, but also its prevalence, in the world.
Yeah, I agree. It'll definitely have probably the biggest impact in artificial intelligence, which will probably be the big thing in the future. I've also done some reading and have heard that molecular modeling will also be really impacted by quantum computing. I believe that there's some sort of idea called like quantum chemistry, which I'm not really sure about. But I mean, if quantum computing actually, like, I guess, becomes more existent in the future, I feel like that's probably a field that it would strike the most second after artificial intelligence.
I mean, quantum chemistry is essentially just chemistry, except with quantum physics instead of, normal, standard, everyday physics, right? So,
Oh,
at least I'm pretty sure that's what it is, right? Because
Arguably, in terms of what would come after AI, or really what could compete in terms of like what would really revolutionize the quantum computing, is cryptography, because a lot of cryptography like companies or like strategies are trying to look for way, like constantly need to evolve to be much more secure. And there's a lot of people looking into quantum mechanics and quantum computing to actually significantly improve this, just because of how superpositioning and entanglement works. So, I mean, that's
yeah, it's a pretty
another
good field.
thing that people might tend to miss, but it's really going to have a big impact on cryptography.
definitely.
Do you guys think that quantum computing will ever like impact, I guess, the financial markets? Or
I mean, indirectly, maybe, because with quantum computing, various industries are going to have a significant rise, and companies that can, use quantum computing to their advantage the most. So, tech companies, most likely.
Mhm.
Whoever can use it the best is going to have a massive rise. If we're talking about stocks in this case, so we're going to have massive rises in revenue, and thus stock value is going to go up. So it might not have a direct, actually, it might not have a direct impact in that sense, but I guess it might have a direct impact in how, how like basic financial algorithms and that sort of stuff works.
What do you think, Arav?
Well,
It's gonna be
we've already discussed how like quantum computers would be very good for machine learning algorithms. And one of the really big machine learning company, like one of the really big companies that we see using machine learning a lot are probably Google. And I think Google already uses machine learning. So I definitely think that like it's definitely like really good for companies, because many companies are like gonna start using artificial intelligence in their products. So yeah. And another thing, I think it was Neeraj, or no, I forget who, but someone said that like quantum computing would be normalized. Like, by that do you mean like it would be localized, or like people would use it on a daily basis in their normal lives?
Yeah, that was me. And yes, I did say that, but I don't really expect it to come within the next couple decades. To be actually, it depends. I haven't really checked up on how fast quantum engineering and the science of
Oh, you're
quantum is
right. It's not
advancing.
going to come anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking. The
because like
development of quantum in itself is going to take a while, and then normalizing it and possibly miniaturizing it to put in like a phone or something, it's going to take even longer. So I doubt it's going to be coming within the next couple decades.
I doubt it'll come in our lifetimes, like normalized in our lifetimes,
Yeah,
because quantum computing is generally used to solve like really heavy problems. And I mean, like, I don't understand why like
yeah,
a
why would you want to
normal
put it in a
user would.
phone?
Yeah, and not only that, but like these quantum computers, they need like so much maintenance. Like they need to be kept in like sub-zero temperatures at all time.
Yeah,
And like,
Bose-Einstein condensate.
yeah, yes, and also, like if they're moved at all, then they just stop working. So like, unless like you figure out a way to like make the quantum computer not move at all in your phone, and figure out like to make cooling like really good in our phones, I doubt it's coming.
yeah. Like Arav said, we're going to need a lot of like a stupid amount of technological progress when it comes to quantum science in general in order to normalize stuff. I was mainly just presenting it as, a hypothetical.
Yeah, just to put things into perspective on quantum computers as of right now, you should probably, like, for all the viewers out there, you should probably search one up. and they're massive. It's just like how computers
Yeah.
used to be in like the 1980s or whatever. Like they're massive, and the conditions that they have to be is like the system hardware has to be in like a Bose-Einstein condensate state, which is very hard to maintain, and they have to be in like vacuum chambers, like several vacuum chambers. So yeah, it's going to be very hard to put that all into like a small device. But I think the only benefits from quantum computing that we might reap in our lifetimes is cryptography, just because you might not need all that hardware, since it could just be like on the servers itself and not going directly onto our phones or computers. So I feel like that could potentially be something we could experience in our lifetimes, but definitely not like having the actual computing or quantum computers itself in our hands.
I don't know why you'd want one though. Like,
I mean,
Yeah,
you,
that's
it's more
useless.
powerful, but like, I guess, like, I mean,
Well, I
why?
I
mean,
mean,
we don't need that much power
Not,
to load up a
not
web page.
why it's like asking why someone would want the next gen console. It's like
I mean,
it
I mean,
offers
it does.
more.
I mean, it's probably because like you can get like the newer games and stuff.
Exactly. With
I mean,
quantum
That's
computing, you
true.
could be getting
Well,
a lot
I
more.
I've also read from somewhere else that like if we use quantum computers for simple tasks like searching up something or like opening up Instagram or something like that, then it actually makes it a little bit slower. Just like because it's so useless, it doesn't even like make sense to use it for those tasks.
And too, like, wouldn't the price of the overall phone go up like a lot more? You know, if they
Yes.
put a quantum computer in your phone.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
again,
Like,
it depends because like if you go like 20 years back into the past and you tell like people how much a touchscreen phone would cost, they'd probably give you an absurd amount of money, right?
yeah,
But like
Well,
if you
yes.
come at it now, you can get one for like $300.
But the main
exactly. It depends on how the technology is normalized. Sure, again, I was presenting normalizing quantum as a hypothetical, but assuming it does happen, there is assuming it does get normalized, it's going to be the same. Like Problem said, it's going to be the same way we look at touchscreens right now,
yeah,
right? So,
mhm.
and
I I see it being like used like industry wide and like through a bunch of like tech companies, but I don't see it being used by the average consumer.
yeah, it's probably going to be used the same way, like servers are. Like people don't have them at home. Companies mainly have a ton of servers, like they would have with quantum computers, assuming it becomes usable in the future.
Yeah.
Uh,
There actually are a few companies that already do that. Like you can access their servers and use their quantum computer.
Oh,
so,
dang. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
oh,
I guess it really depends as we keep like further like researching quantum computing and like as quantum computers evolve, we could be finding like much more hidden like benefits that we could be using that could help consumers. So, I mean, it really depends. Like, it's pretty
Well,
like the possibilities are limitless. But yeah, I can agree with like Arav as to like it's probably not realistic or just like logical to like for average consumers to be using quantum computers in their daily life.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
I
we
don't.
never know.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Like,
if it does end up happening, I don't expect it to happen like in our lifetimes,
oh
actually.
no way, no way.
But what I do expect to be happening is like quantum computers. These were made to solve problems quicker, right? And like solving problems like flying cars. Like if we wanted to make flying cars, then we just need to like plug in the problem into a quantum computer and have it solve it for us. And then we can implement that into our technology and like so on. We can use that for so many other things.
Yeah. Okay. So we should probably move on to other stuff, talking about quantum. Apart from normalizing it. Okay. What are some problems with quantum computing as we have right now, because I feel like we've talked about the pros for a while. To be honest, we should probably talk about the deficits of quantum right now and how maybe we hope they clear out in the future.
I mean, it's probably extremely expensive.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's stupid expensive.
Yes,
I mean,
Vinay.
like,
That's a
I
good
mean,
point.
hey, it might go unnoticed, Protham.
You're right.
But
Yeah.
Vinay.
yes, I'm
As
joking.
Pratham said before, it requires a ton. Pratham and Arav, both requires a ton of maintenance and room and conditions and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
it's very fragile. Like even the slightest bit of movement or something, and it could just like ruin the entire machine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I read somewhere about data being lost ridiculously fast after with some quantum computers. I'm not sure if that's an old statement or something like that. What are your guys' opinions on that?
I mean, like, I feel like I guess it's like a bug. I guess in the quantum. I wouldn't say like it's a bug, but like I feel
No,
like it's just
it's a
an
bug.
issue.
That's right.
I just feel like it's gonna be an issue that like will be overlooked and then solved like really quickly. I mean, I'm not really concerned that this is gonna happen when quantum computing actually becomes normalized, or like in the next couple decades or however long. I don't. Yeah, it's gonna be a while, but I don't think
Yeah,
data's gonna be lost.
it just depends on like what's causing the data
Yeah.
loss. Like depending on that issue, it could either be something that's we could just easily solve and then just move on, or it could be something that's just really annoying to solve. We might just not have the technology to solve that
Yeah.
I mean, they'll
itself.
still move on, and I don't think they'll just stop. Like in that sense.
I mean, yeah, that's just with any technology.
Yeah.
Technology will inevitably advance, whether like regardless of what problem stands between our goal and like where we are
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
We got anything else on quantum? On
I
computing?
don't think so.
Or
if you have anything else you want to say before
Yeah.
we head out?
I don't know. I actually haven't heard about that. I haven't heard about data loss, but I mean, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Or it might even be like as simple as like, remember how one machine stopped working because of a moth, and that's where the name like bug came from?
Yeah, it could just
Yeah.
be. You could be right. Yeah.
Yeah, it could just be like something super small, and like we just wouldn't realize until like a long time after.
Wow, I had no idea that was what bug was called that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Ara. But yeah, I mean, it's just probably the instability of the entire system itself, just due to it being very error prone and very sensitive to a lot of things in the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah.
yeah, it's true. I mean, so like Arv said before, it's like super fragile. I don't know. It'd be pretty cool to see how they evolve quantum computing in the future.
I mean, personally, I think the first steps would probably make it more stable. See if they can try and cut down on the amount of resources required to maintain a quantum computer. That's honestly what I think would be the first step in advancing quantum computing, apart from, the whole legit, like all the quantum stuff itself.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. All right. Any last words, guys?
I got nothing.
That's it
All
for
right.
me about quantum.
Arv, anything?
No, I have nothing to say.
Thanks for coming on, Arv.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Cause,
Yes, Ara.
Oh, actually, do you want to talk about like quantum computers being able to look into other dimensions, like possibly?
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
I don't know. I personally have my doubts just because it sounds a bit outlandish. But I mean, it's quantum, so I'm not saying it's not possible.
Well, the thing about quantum science, which is like also really cool, is that it's the most promising science, but it's like the one that we have the least evidence that it's true of. If you know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean.
because quantum is so weird. Everything we've learned of science is essentially getting thrown out of the window the moment we step into a quantum realm. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
So
makes
I feel like we should, going back to quantum superpositioning, we shouldn't just limit it to the 3 or 4 dimensions that we have, because superpositioning, if you really look at it, it could theoretically apply to like an infinite amount of dimensions. So it does open the gateway of possibility that quantum computers could, make an interdimensional impact on
yeah,
like the way
because
we look at
definitely.
physics.
these qubits they exist they exist in between dimensions. So like, and that the number of dimensions that that like the machine exists between exponentially increases by the number of qubits it has, which is like
Yeah.
really cool. Like these machines, I'm not sure if these like that's right or not, but like these machines could essentially like grab the shadows of alternate dimensions and realities, and then we can use that information in our own like current technology.
Yeah, and again, it might sound outlandish, but again, it's quantum, so I can see it work. I can see it being possible. That being said, I'm guessing dimension technology, or at least dimensional quantum technology, is something that we have limited, if not, not much knowledge at all about, and I'm not sure how much will get explored on in the future, depending on other priorities of quantum computing at the moment.
Yeah, basically a rule of thumb is that if something in quantum physics is not confusing you, then you're not learning it right. So
Yeah, quantum's cool.
Well said, Pratham.
That sounds accurate. Um, I think that's it from us.
Yeah.
So, in the
I
end, thank you guys for listening. Stay safe, wear masks, that sort of stuff, and stay tuned for the next one. See you guys.